Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Lopez versus Ortiz breakdown video, as Teofimo Lopez, the reigning WBO Junior Welterweight champ at 140, puts his title on the line for the first time when he battles Jr Ortiz, who's receiving his first title shot. That fight takes place on Thursday, February 8th. In the main event of an ESPN card. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, if you're not familiar with my breakdown videos, in a fight like this, a championship fight, but in all fights, first we discuss the fight itself, what it means, how big it is, all that stuff. Then we get into each fighter individually. And in a championship fight, we start with the champion and then we move over to the challenger next. But I talk about what they've done coming into the fight, what they need to do to win the fight. I ask the same questions on both sides, and then at the end, is it better for boxing if one or the other wins? And then I give my prediction. Full breakdown of the fight. So here we go. We start with this fight. What does it mean for boxing, for the division? This fight right here, it means a lot for Lopez, to come back and be a showman, to look good. He chose Super Bowl week, the Saturday night before Super Bowl is usually not a good night for boxing. They've proven that over the years. So Lopez is fighting two nights prior to that. Because Vegas is going to be full of NFL stars and superstars, and having a big fight with an entertaining fighter like Lopez is a big deal. It's going to draw a lot of attention. Lopez is a big name, and he's coming into this one taking what I think is a power punching safe fight with Jr Ortiz. Jr Ortiz, though, a good solid ass boxer that needs to not be overlooked here for sure. And I don't think Lopez is. But I don't think Lopez, I think he chose a guy like Ortiz because he doesn't have to worry about this necessarily being a firefight and a big struggle. But nonetheless, Ortiz is not a pushover, and this is going to be a good, solid boxing matchup right here that I'm really looking forward to, So a good matchup on paper right here with two guys that have a lot to prove. Now, let's start with our reigning champion, Teofimo Lopez, and we first look at what he's done coming into this fight. And we go back and look at his last three fights, which date back to August of 2022, where he made his debut in the 140-pound division and took on Pedro Campa. He was coming off of a loss to George Kambosos Jr. And wanted to make a statement. He looked okay against Campa, got hit a bit, but ended up breaking down Campa and stopping him in his debut. Then he would return in December of 2022 and would take on Southpaw Sandor Martin, and did not look good in this fight. He was hesitant. Martin gave him a different look. It was a full-on boxing match. Lopez's better output over Martin got him, Sandor Martin got him the victory, a very close, controversial victory, as he, remained undefeated at Junior Welterweight, but a lot of people doubted him, and he doubted himself. He had said after the fight, do I still have it? So there was a lot going on personally and professionally for Lopez that cast a big shadow of doubt over him. But in June of last year, 2023, he received a monster opportunity to challenge Josh Taylor for the WBO title. And a lot of people, myself included, picked Josh Taylor to defeat Teofimo Lopez, given where he was going, in terms of the direction since the loss to George Kambosos Jr. And Teofimo Lopez came out and, in my opinion, had the performance of his career. In my opinion, the biggest win of his career. Albeit the victory over Vasily Lomachenko was probably bigger in terms of name Taylor was bigger in terms of performance, in my opinion, because he really did outwork and outclass a good boxer in Josh Taylor. And with Lomachenko, that was a close, somewhat controversial decision. This one, there was no controversy. He dominated Josh Taylor over 12 rounds, got a clean, unanimous decision, and became the WBO champion. So a big win. But so this marks about almost 8 months since he last fought, and he's ready to, defend his title for the first time here at 140. But for Lopez, it's about making a statement within the 140-pound division, because now there's Lopez and there's Haney. Those are the two top dogs at 140 now. There's also Ryan Garcia, but he's not a champion yet. So Lopez has work to do here at 140. Yes, he's talked about a potential Terrence Crawford clash. So big fights await Lopez, but he's got to get through this one, and this is a big stage for him the week of the Super Bowl, which is why he chose this one. It's about being a showman, and I think Lopez is pumped up and ready for this fight. Now, what does Lopez need to do to win this fight? Well, first and foremost, he needs to learn from his past and not overlook anybody. He overlooked George Kambosos. I believe he overlooked Sandor Martin. He needs to not overlook Jermaine Ortiz, and the reason being is Jamel Herring overlooked Jermaine Ortiz and got dominated. Vasily Lomachenko overlooked Jermaine Ortiz and almost lost. I think Lopez is not going to overlook Jermaine Ortiz, but that's the key right there. Do not take this guy as a pushover. Now, also, he needs to respect the boxing ability, and he needs to get the timing battle down. He needs to throw his jab. He needs to box and set his power up. If he can do that, he can be successful in this fight, but he's got to win the jab battle because Ortiz is a good boxer as well. So he's got to win the jab battle. That's key. And land those combinations, speed, not one punch at a time like he did with Kambosos and Martin. He needs to throw the combinations. He needs to keep his hands busy to win this fight. Now, can Teofimo Lopez win this fight by knockout? I think he can. I haven't seen Ortiz in there with a real power punching guy yet at the higher level. Lopez does have good power, and I think if he catches Ortiz, he can hurt him. But I think it's more going to be like an accumulation breakdown type knockout. But I do believe Lopez could do that to Ortiz. Now, can Lopez win a decision here? And I think he can do that too. I think he can beat Ortiz by a decision, but it could be close if it goes to the scorecards. It could be close because Ortiz is a pretty decent, pretty solid boxer. You saw how well he did against Vasily Lomachenko. Now, what does this win mean? What does a win mean for Teofimo Lopez in this fight? It means a lot. It does. A win over him means a lot in terms of Lopez moving forward, and he can also make a statement and say, hey, look, I'm way ahead of Vasily Lomachenko. This is why I'm a top tier guy. A win it means a lot, but he's got to be convincing because he's calling himself the showman going into this fight. So that means he needs to put on a show. That means he needs to be impressive, and I think that's what Teofimo Lopez is going for. But yeah, a win means a lot in terms of impressing people and showing them, hey, look, I'm the real deal here, that the Josh Taylor win wasn't just a fluke. And what does a loss mean for Lopez? A loss is devastating. Whatever kind of loss, even a close one to Ortiz, sets Lopez back considerably. Lopez is viewed as one of the future talents of boxing, and the loss to George Kambosos is looked at as a fluke. It really is. And now, after beating Josh Taylor, people want to believe that Lopez has caught that fire back and he's back on a roll, and we still haven't seen the best of him. A loss to Jermaine Ortiz will really derail Teofimo Lopez in this fight, and he really can't afford that right now because he's sitting at the top of the division and he really wants to make a statement for the division. And this needs to be it. So let's switch over to the challenger, Jermaine Ortiz. Now, this is Ortiz's first title shot. He has not fought for a title before. But looking at his last 3 fights rolling into this fight, they date back to, I believe it was May of 2022, when he took on Jamel Herring, the former junior lightweight champ. Herring was making his debut at 135, and Jermaine Ortiz absolutely dominated Herring over 10 rounds to a one-sided unanimous decision and made a statement, causing Herring to temporarily retire. He followed that up in October of 2022 and got an opportunity against Vasily Lomachenko. And most people looked at Ortiz as just a comeback fight for Lomachenko, who had taken and I think he had been out for over a year or close to. No, it was about 10 months. Yeah, he had been out due to the war in the Ukraine, and he was returning, and most people just looked at it as an easy win for Loma, and Ortiz really battled Loma in a fight where he was even winning the fight halfway through, but Loma put his foot on the gas pedal in the second half and dominated the action. But, you know, it was, Ortiz still performed well. It was a close fight, but Loma walked away with a unanimous decision. But Ortiz walked away with the respect, because his last fight was in September of this year, when he took on Antonio Moran, a veteran, and got a clean unanimous decision win. So for him to move up 5 pounds and earn a shot against Lopez, he had to have looked good against Lomachenko, and he did. So Ortiz coming into this fight really pumped up. He's the same height and pretty much the same reach. I think he has a half-inch reach advantage, but these two guys are the same height exactly. So really not a big height or reach advantage either way, but the power is going to be significant. So what does Ortiz need to do to win this fight? He needs to negate Lopez's power, and again, he needs to win the jab battle. He needs to use the angles and force Lopez into being that one punch at a time fighter that he's been in recent memory against Kambosos, against Martin. He needs to force Lopez into that style. But if he lets Lopez go in with the boxing, lets him get going with the boxing, and throwing combinations and doing what makes Lopez great, it's going to be a tough night, but going to be interesting to see how he performs in this one. Now, can Jermaine Ortiz beat Teofimo Lopez by a knockout? I don't think so. I really haven't seen Lopez badly hurt. Yes, he got knocked down against Kambosos, more of a flash knockdown. I do believe Lomachenko, kind of stunned him a couple times, but nothing bad. And Ortiz is just not that power punching type guy. Now, it doesn't mean that Ortiz can't land a perfectly timed punch to hurt Lopez, but I don't see Ortiz winning this fight by knockout, unless it's like that accumulation breakdown type performance. Now, can Ortiz win a decision? I think that's his best bet, is to win a decision, and it will not be easy. I think it will probably be close if it goes to a decision, unless he is just naturally the better boxer, and I don't think that he is, but I think a decision would be probably the only way Ortiz wins this fight. Now, what does a victory mean for Jermaine Ortiz? It would be huge. He becomes the world champion at 140, and really, it's by far the biggest victory of his career, and it makes him a serious player, between 135 and 140. Puts him in there with the big names, which Lopez is a big name. It gets him another big name after this. So a victory here means everything to Jermaine Ortiz. What does a loss mean for Jermaine Ortiz here against Teofimo Lopez? Most people are expecting Ortiz to lose. He's used to this role. So I don't think a loss hurts Ortiz as bad as most people think it could. It would be the first of his career, so that would hurt in itself, but it would really depend on how he loses. Again, most people aren't expecting him to win, but if he goes out there and gets absolutely dominated against Lopez, I don't think people are going to take him as a serious contender moving forward. But if he fights a good fight, puts up a good fight, even if he gets stopped, but it's a competitive bout that he's in, I think, you know, he's still considered to be a serious contender, just not on the level of Lopez, which not many are. So, now the final two items are, first, is it better for boxing if Teofimo Lopez wins this fight or if Jermaine Ortiz wins this fight? And that's easy. It's better for boxing if Lopez wins. Lopez is just a flashier power and speed guy, boxing ability. Jermaine Ortiz is a good boxer, but he hasn't displayed that ridiculous power that's made him a star or anything like that. He's the B-side fighter. He's young, so it wouldn't be horrible if he pulled this victory off, but it's much better for boxing if a star like Lopez continues to build his star. So definitely that. And now finally, my prediction. Who wins this Jr Welterweight title fight between Teofimo Lopez and Jermaine Ortiz? And, you know, again, same size, same reach, same age pretty much. I mean, I think Lopez chose Ortiz for a reason. I think he chose Super Bowl week for a reason. I think Lopez is viewing this fight as he's taking it dead serious and he knows he has to win. Because he could have taken an opponent that just stands right in front of you and is easy to hit. Jermaine Ortiz actually moves and boxes. So, I think Lopez knows what he's got in front of him. I think he is going to try to break down Jermaine Ortiz. I think he's viewing this fight, taking it serious. And I think that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to break Jermaine Ortiz down, bust him up, really show him that either Lomachenko is overlooking him or that he is just that much better than Loma. And I see him winning this fight by a stoppage between rounds like 7 and 10, 7 and 11 area. But I also think Ortiz could take it to the scorecards. And if he does, I think it could be close. But I just think Lopez is going to win convincingly. So that's my prediction here. You know, so I do believe Ortiz is a live underdog, though. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled the win off, but I don't think that he will. So, that's it. That is my prediction. That is the Lopez versus Ortiz breakdown video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.